Hey guys, Dustin here. Welcome to another episode of Horroritis. So, this week we're talking about Phantasm and why you should watch it. If you're a fan of these videos, you might remember my original mission statement was to share the movies I love with people who may not have seen them. This is one of those videos, so if you haven't seen Phantasm, this is why you should. Phantasm was originally meant by Don Coscarelli to be an adaptation of Something Wicked This Way Comes. However, he found out that Disney had already bought the rights to the novel, so instead he took some of the elements of Something Wicked This Way Comes and mixed them with some elements from a dream he had about being chased down a marble hallway by a chrome sphere that wanted to penetrate his skull. And thus, Phantasm was born. So, what is this movie actually about? Well, it starts with a boy named Mike who follows his brother Jody to a funeral for Jody's friend Tommy. Well, it actually starts with Tommy's death, but that's not really important. Mike hides in the bushes, all creepy-like, and watches the funeral through a pair of binoculars. He stays until the funeral's over and everyone's gone. Then he sees the hearse come back with the funeral director, who comes to be known as the Tall Man. He sees the Tall Man lift up Tommy's casket all by himself and puts it back into the hearse. A couple nights later, Mike follows Jody to a bar where he sees him pick up a girl and leave. He then follows them to the cemetery where they begin to make out. As Mike is creeping in the bushes, a small person in a brown robe jumps out and starts chasing him. He runs off screaming, and this also effectively kills Jody's night as well. When Jody doesn't believe Mike about what he said he saw, Mike decides to go to the mortuary and investigate for himself. As he's walking down the marble hallway, he's confronted by a floating metallic orb that begins to chase him. As he's running, the caretaker jumps out and catches Mike, but Mike ducks out of the way just as the orb extends two blades that firmly implant themselves into the caretaker's head for one of the best blood sprays of the 70s. The Tall Man shows up and chases Mike, but Mike is able to get away after cutting some of the Tall Man's fingers off. Mike then returns home with enough proof to get Jody on board, and pretty soon it's up to Mike, Jody, and Reggie, the guitar-playing ice cream man, to take on the Tall Man and save the day. Alright, some fun facts about this movie. It nearly got an X rating because the orb scene with the caretaker was too extreme at the time, and not because of the blood. It was because when the caretaker fell down, he actually wet himself, and you can see it. This movie regularly makes it onto various lists for best horror movies, and the nightmare bed scene was number 25 on Bravo's 100 Scariest Movie Moments. The theme song has been used by both metal bands Entombed and Tormentor. You should check those out, those are kind of cool. And if that isn't enough, this movie is a prime example of indie filmmaking. The whole thing was funded by donors, one of which was Coscarelli's dad. All of the cast and crew were either friends or they were aspiring professionals. Nobody was actually a professional in this movie. The camera equipment was all rented, and they would rent it on a Friday so that they could have it all weekend and only have to pay one day's rent. Don Coscarelli also did all the camera work and editing because he couldn't afford to hire a cameraman or editor. The best thing about this movie, though, it's not the story or the effects. This movie is great because it shows us you don't have to have a bunch of money or professionals or hype to make a good movie. And that's a lesson that we seem to have to relearn every couple of years when some great indie movie comes out of left field and blows away all the big budget movies. This movie is proof that it's been happening at least since the 70s, and it'll continue to happen as long as there are people out there willing to make the movies that they believe in. That's why, for me, this movie is more than just a kick-ass horror movie. This is more like a mission statement, in a deranged type of way. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why I think you should check out Phantasm. It is a great movie, so if you haven't seen it, go check it out now. And if you have seen it, you know you gotta check it out again. So that's it for this video. Thumbs up are definitely appreciated. Also, if you haven't subscribed already, hit that subscribe button. I've got more videos coming for you, at least one a week, maybe more if I feel more ambitious. And as always, I'm Dustin. This was Horroritis, and until next time.